Hello everybody, I am Angry Bird. We are back with Game 2 / Leg 2 of the Steel Division 2 League Group 1 matchup, Lossa versus Herr. So this match, Lossa is playing the second guards with Vanguard income. We've got the deck up on screen. We have the plenty of tanks in that deck. So Lossa aiming to use the numbers in this game. He has the interestingly, he has the ISUs in both A phase and B phase. So we will see whether they come into play. The artillery wise, relying on the mortar bikes, which could be interesting to see whether he brings those out. And then otherwise, I guess he's looking to use the numbers advantage that the second guards can bring out in terms of numbers of tanks. He's up against today, Herr. He is playing on the right hand side. We can see Herr putting some units down towards the top of the map as we speak. He's playing Panzerlehr on Vanguard income. So, same income matchup as the previous game. Both players playing on Vanguard income. Very much playing from the start. Herr, he has the Pumas and the SDKFZ half-tracks in that recon tab. He could aim to use them like he did the M8s for the French. So yeah, let's expect to see some light vehicle play, and notice he does have a couple of them up in the top of the screen at the moment. So tank wise, he has the Panther Ds in A phase, and that's going to be difficult for Lossa to play, to come up against. He's going to have to rely on those ZIS-2 AT guns really to take out those Panthers. The T-34-85s, they can certainly do the job, but they aren't really favoured in the engagement, so the ZIS-2 guns will be more useful. Herr relying later on with Tigers and plenty of Panzer IV-Hs in C, along with Panther Ds in C, so he can go into the long game on this one. Having a look though, his infantry tab potentially a little bit weak in the early game in A phase. 9 Panzergrens and without the Panzerfaust, and 6 Panzergrens with the Panzerfaust could be limited in terms of numbers. Does has the Flammenwerfers to back them up, and the MG42s in A phase, which don't get taken too often, so good to see those MG42s, as well as the last game as well, the heavy machine guns coming out. I do like those units. And in terms of Air Force, Herr relying on the Focke-Wulf 190 fighter bombers to do the job for him in the early game. Let's have a look at the setup. So, looks like Loss is actually kind of spread out quite a lot on this left-hand side. He has the OB-25s, as well as the ZIS-2s and the Aftermachiki in this central area, so yeah, sometimes it looks odd when I zoom out because the units combine together, so I have to be a bit wary about that. 2 Aftermachiki in the southern side, the OB-25 in the central, and in the top, two T-34-85, 1944 variants, so these are the ones that he needs to use to take out the Panthers with those 4 APCR shells. But when they run out of those APCR shells, the penetration on the AP shells drops down to 145mm, which is just enough to penetrate those Panthers, but it really does make the odds much slimmer. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out in the tank engagement, I feel, on this map. Very open map in the centre. This is one of the new maps released in the Freedom Reinforcement DLCs, and we haven't seen a huge amount of games on this map. I think this is the first one that I'm casting, so it'll be interesting for everyone to see how this gets on. Very much an open area in the centre ground. if you can get some heavy tanks up on these ridge lines for both sides, then you really got a good job at controlling this central area. So it'll be interesting how the players play the game. Very much a setup. Lossa looks, in terms of numbers, looks very light on the ground. Not sure if he's holding back points or if that's just me missing a few units. Herr making pushes in the northern area for those flags of Lossa, whereas Lossa pretty much taking up defensive positions all along his line. So Herr looks to be the one making plays early on. This northern push, it looks like the two T-34s of 85s of Lossa are the kind of heavy units on his side, so it looks like both players are going to want to ensure this northern engagement turns out well for them. In the southern area, the Puma looks like it's opening up down the road, does take out one of the Aftermachiki, and that's going to hurt Lossa. He does keep one in, but against all the forces of Herr, he could get into trouble. Looks like the northern side, Herr backing off with his units, so interesting. He's just putting them in defensive positions, certainly with the SDK I've said. He's letting the Puma shoot down the road, does take out another Aftermachiki early on, and that Aftermachiki on its own, yeah, being repositioned by Lossa, it's going to struggle against the number of units it faces. The T-34-85s now coming into play, and looks like they're throwing some supporting fire down on that road. Unlucky not to take out the Puma, and let's see, do they have line of sight? Looks like just had line of sight on the half track and get the gun jam, so that is looking fairly decent engagement for Lossa. This southern central area doesn't look like it's going to go in his favour, and he's got to very much work on the defensive. He's definitely using these M2A1 half tracks, and hopefully he can hold off some of the infantry units with them. The northern side pushing Razvedka recon units right forward, coming under fire from the flamers, and surely he's got to unload those. Does unload them right on top of the flaming units, but he could well win this one out. With the support of the M2A1 half track just in the background, the Puma and the SDKFZ are zoned out by the T-34-85s. However, up comes the Panther D Fiora, and in fact both of the T-34-85s low on APCR ammunition, so this is an interesting engagement in that northern side. If the Razvedka can get into position and take out this Flammenwerfer, then that's a nice start for Lossa, but those Razvedka, they aren't pushing the front line, and he's relying on this Sapori further south to kind of hold that side of the front line. One of the T-34-85s go down, I think, yeah, to the Panther D, and that Panther D, wow, he's getting himself into a very tricky spot. Crew panicked. The Razvedkas with the bazooka get one shot off, do get the crew panicked, but unfortunately, wow, that Herr is lucky to escape with that Panther. Does potentially give Lossa more chance to proceed. He does have another T-34-85 on the way. Wow, another 3 reinforcing T-34-85s. The southern area is calm for the moment, and both players microing units in this northern area. Sorry for the bad camera work there. It looks like the Panther D was shooting south, I think at the Sapori, and wow, looking for the kind of crossfire onto these T-34-85s, and surprisingly enough, Lossa isn't pushing forward the reinforcing T-34-85 here. I'd like to see that come up the hill and try and target this Panther D, get the 2-on-1. He is now moving it forwards, and hopefully that can 2-on-1 the Panther and come out with the result for Lossa. Let's have a look further at this engagement. Okay, so it looks like one of the T-34-85s has stopped short and is firing on the IG, and the other somehow that stops short and is just out of range of the Panther D. So very close setup here. The Panther D does turn out and bails out the T-34-85. Wow, that is a loss, because the second T-34-85 coming in, that's in trouble now as well, with the Panther D coming out this town. Both Panther Ds now, the Fuhrer there as well, coming forwards, and that one goes down. Lossa losing 2 key units there. That is a harsh blow for Lossa. He lost the recon unit in this town, and this northern sector is looking good for Herr Robert right now. The only thing left is the Zis 2. Does take out the Panther D Fuhrer, and possibly could take out this Panther D as well. If it does, that Zis 2 could kind of save this northern side for Lossa. No, it does get finally suppressed, and Herr Robert, it's only a matter of time before he decides to push forward. Now that Zis 2 gun's gone down, surely he's going to push forward. First of all, takes up the SDKFZ recon unit. He wants to see what's there. He's looking for the units and trying to push back this Guardia. Luckily, Lossa's reinforced quickly with the 2 T-34-85s, and he is targeting that recon half track. Does want to knock out the recon units. Does have a T-34 1943 version in the sort of lying in wait, and these Sapri units coming under fire as well. Herr Robert making gains in the north. Looks like he's pushed forward slightly in the central area. I think actually that's Lossa moving the Aftermachikis up. And all quiet in the south. Both sides kind of micro in on this northern side. Herr Robert seeing the opportunity to advance, and I think he's trying to make gains on Lossa at the moment. He's just trying to hold on in this northern sector. He did bring in the supply truck to try and fix up this bailed out T-34, but unfortunately, well, that bailed out T-34 went down, and that supply truck's on a dangerous mission there. So if that continues without Lossa repositioning that unit, then that would be a huge loss. Yeah, he does now reposition that. Luckily, he noticed that a supply truck was going wayward. The 2 Safaris in the forest, again, no anti-tank on these units, and Lossa is suffering from that over both gains. I think it's not a case that Lossa shouldn't be taking these Sapri units. It's just a case that Herr Robert is noticing when those infantry units haven't got the AT on, and he is really exploiting them to his advantage. He has got the 4 Panzergrens forward, kind of holding that flag, and repositioning the MG42 for response, and he really is building up forces in this northern area, and the longer he continues to build up these Panthers, the worse it's going to get for Lossa, and reinforcing with Gapards now as well, just to cover against any air attacks. Really intelligent play by Herr Robert. I mean, this is what stands out the best from the rest, is he's anticipating that with these heavy tanks in here, that one of the key ways to take out those heavy tanks is from the air, and so he's already brought in the Gapards to protect against those attacks. In really intelligent play, and it shows the sort of foresight of these top players, whereas people further down the ladder are very much responding to air attacks rather than anticipating. The 2 Flammenwerfers in the centre, looks like perhaps Lossa maybe push forward with the Aftermachiki, and I think Herr Robert's kind of lucky to survive with those 2 Flammenwerfers. Maybe, you know, we didn't see the attack, maybe there was supporting fire, but yeah, I would have put my money on the Aftermachiki rather than the Flammenwerfers winning that one, so unlucky for Lossa there. He still has 1 Sapri unit in this forest, and wow, great shot there. The T-34 85 1943 gets the side shot on the Panther D. Fantastic shot. Can he finish it up? Yes, he does. Gets the armour crack. Fantastic play there. Lovely positioning of that unit. He can see that Herr Robert is pushing up the road, so he's just brought this up to get those side shots, and what a fantastic play. Beautiful. Does take another shot at the Panther D at the back. gets the transmission damage, and that little tank has done a great job. Lovely play there. So the Guardia DP kind of re-securing the flag. Here Robert does have the 13-11 lead and will win in 24 minutes time if nothing changes. The Zis 2 gun gets into position with the efficient shot, and I think that took out the half track there. Beautiful, moving the T-34-85 through that light forest and really controlling the line of sight, so good play there. The Zis 2 gun now looks like it's going to open up again. He is on that efficient shot, so I think he's biding his time, waiting for the Panthers to push forwards. Robert seizing the opportunity and pushing forwards those Panthers, but I'm quite surprised here the way that he's pushing forward those Panthers. Doesn't look like he's got much ahead of it, and in comes the attacks. The PE2s come in from Lossa, anticipated by Herr Robert. Both the bombs come down. Wow, takes out Panzer 4H and an IG. Beautiful strikes there. So Lossa making some key gains here, reinforcing this central town, and this, he had enough of those Flammenwerfers. This time he's brought in 4 Sapper units, but looks like they've been taking fire, and possibly the IG-18 back here, or the Puma in the half-track. He is reinforcing that with a Razvedka unit. I think he wants to know what's there, really. He's lucky to continue to hold this forest with one after Manchiki, but here Robert, all his eggs in one basket at the moment. He is pushing the northern area. Look at that, another T-34-85 takes out a Panther. Exceptional play from Lossa. He is targeting the right units, and the Gepard's in trouble. That should go down from the Zis 2. Can Lossa counterattack? This is a perfect opportunity for him. Here Robert's forces in this northern side have been whittled down, and Lossa's got the opportunity now to make some key gains, really. Definitely excited to see how the match progresses. The supply truck resupplying the Guardia DPs. You don't see it often, but they do run out of machine gun ammo, and it's good to get them resupplied. Herr Robert cheekily pushing forward those Panzergrens, and so far yet to be revealed, and probably providing, well, if he pushes them to the edge of the forest, could provide some key optics on the tanks in the rear, continuing to engage. But those tanks at the moment, they've got nothing that can really deal with them. The Panzer 4H, you know, certainly that can take it out, but definitely not favoured in the engagement. So those T-34-85s in the northern area have got free range. The T-34-85 here, is that going to... Looks like it's firing, yes, on the machine gun, and must just be out of range of the Puma, and should just come into range. Yeah, does now come into range. Looks to get the shot off. Does get the loader kill, and that will advantage the T-34-85. Did get the spawning reply here. Robert quickly reversing that Puma out of there, saving that Puma's life, really. And great micro from here, Robert. And if you look at the movement of his forces at the moment, they are in retreat in this northern area. Lossa pushing back. Looks like one of the units in the south, I believe that's probably a Flammenwerfer, was surrendered, although this IG-18, this must have been the unit doing all the damage. Look at that positioning, fantastic unit positioning. He's just on top of it, a lovely little hill here. Well, little hill? Huge hill. He's just on top of a mammoth ridge, just shooting down at these units in the south, and wow, it's interesting to see the height difference there. You don't often see that. Here Robert as well, bringing the FH-443, the Russian artillery piece, to fire on the units in the town. And Lossa, again, he's lost a lot of units in this town, pushing basically against 2 Flammenwerfers, so fantastic positioning from this IG-18, really, is kind of providing the value here, whereas in the northern sector, Herr Robert has lost a lot of his key tanks, and definitely in the retreat. The Tiger E now coming in the northern sectors, although T-34-85's advancing down the road, and they have got the transmission damage, but do get the shooter kill on the Panzer 4H now as well, and these could be interesting kills if they can pick off these 2 units. falling back the Tiger, and the Panzer IV does go down. Strange bombing run coming. Oh, sorry, yes, does target the Pioneers. Yep, takes them out. Beautiful play, fantastic play from Lossa. Looks like the second is coming in for the Puma. Will that take out the Puma as well? The 3 Gepards potentially could be in a position to take out that PE2. Falls back the Puma, doesn't get the killing blow. But certainly those aircraft have done very good work for Lossa so far in this game. Pushing forwards with Sapere, and Lossa picks up the 13-11, and the game has switched over. He will win the game in 32 minutes if nothing changes. So Lossa on the advance. Herr lost a lot of his key units in the northern sector, hasn't pushed in the south, and this game has turned on its head. So we've got Guardia DPs sort of advancing on the Panzergrens, and at the moment those T-34-85s, I think I underestimated them at the start of the game, and they are doing work for Lossa. Another one coming in to back them up, as well as 2 more, and we haven't seen the ISUs out from him just yet, but he is relying on the T-34-85s, although the one in the north does go down, and that's it for the northern side. I think the territory gain that Herr will be getting kind of should be telling him there's no more units there. Another one goes down in the centre, one bailed out as well, and look at this quick turnaround. If Lossa loses this kind of third T-34-85, does get the turret struck and is now reversing, but he's got to be worried about this tank. He does bring in a ZIS-2, which will cover, but yeah, Lossa this time losing some key units in the southern area and pushing forwards with those Guardia DPs. And look at the Gepards ripping them to shreds. That let's have a look at that. Did we manage to capture that? We just didn't capture it, unfortunately. Back to the action. Well, I am getting used to using the instant replay function, so we'll see how that does in the future, but we didn't manage to capture that, but those Guardias just got destroyed by the Gepards. So Herr pushing forwards back in the centre and should pick up this flag again and probably return it to a 12-12, and you've got to say, now the T-34-85s in the north have gone down, Lossa is looking fairly weak in this northern section again, and Herr reinforcing, Lossa loses units, and the game could well flip back into Herr Robert's favour. So, looks like the FH-443s are continuing to bombard this town area. Look at the artillery shells all in those central spots, and yeah, neither side really concentrating on the open ground here, and Herr does have the Pak 40 kind of up defending, and Lossa has the ZIS-2 doing the same, and neither side really wanting to push over the open ground. The northern sector is really where all action is going. Lossa has the ZIS-2 up there in reserve, does now unload it, and he's kind of, at the moment, he's setting up another defence, but you've got to question, it's 12-12. Herr got a lot in the northern sector, and I can see him pushing for an attack there, but at the moment I'm not seeing where Lossa's going to gain the other flag. I think perhaps in the open, this flag now does flip over to Herr Robert. He does get the 13-11, and now we'll win the game in 17 minutes if nothing changes. So Lossa does need to decide where he's going to make his next move. Looks like he's deciding it might be across this open ground. 2 T-34-85s come in, but Herr Robert reinforcing with a second Pak 40, and with both of these Pak 40s, I think Lossa could be in trouble. Wow. Bailed out and armor crack. Does lose one of his T-34-85s. The OB-25 will respond to the Pak-40. I can't help but feeling that this attack is not going to achieve results that Lossa wants. In come the PE2s, and perhaps we'll take out these two defending units for Herr Robert. Down goes the IG-18 and down goes the Pak-40. Beautiful play, and then in comes an IL-2. Looks like, is that going for the second IG-18? Yes, it does. Only pins it down. Doesn't have a huge amount of ammunition, of payload on this unit. Cannot pull up the ID card due to it retreating. And Herr Robert has pushed forward a Tiger here, but could be in trouble. Does take out one of the T-34-85s, although does get incendiary and transmission damage. This T-34-85 has to do the work now, and look at the line of sight issues. Oh, look at that. Wow. Lossa with these T-34-85s making fantastic plays. It's amazing to see these tanks work so well. Look at the line of sight issues along this little ridge. And here Robert pushing forward another Tiger E and does get first shot off. Will he lose it? Does get the loader wound, and does that allow the T-34-85 to get a second shot in? Just, oh, the turret's stuck, but the Tiger gets the crew panic, falls back the T-34-85, and the Northern Tiger in this little area just helping out, I think, there as well, or at least providing support against the advancing Gvardia. And crew kill comes in on the Panther D, probably from this T-34-85 again, and Herr Roberts allowed Lossa to kind of rebuild his northern forces. He hasn't really pushed in the south, and Lossa, you know, coming back into this game looking potentially strong again. I think Herr Robert, he's got the 1311, potentially he's just looking to hold that 1311. Really not doing much with this northern side, so Lossa pushing forward the Gvardia and can potentially take this flag back here, although does have to worry about these Gepards again. Will he lose forces to the same attack? And potentially he will. These Gvardia do unload early, and yeah, come under fire from the Gepards. Oh dear. Those Gepards. Well, those Gvardia, they're going to get shredded. The two Sapere will move in and take out those Pioneers. The Tigers do sort of clean up this central area along with the Panthers. Sorry, the two Panthers and one Tiger. The second one did go down, and this sort of northern central area, a lot of movement happening. This Panther D pushing round without infantry ahead, recon ahead, anything spotting the way, and I'm quite surprised here Robert moving forward his tanks in that manner. Let's have a look at the line of sight. Looks like he's looking for a key sort of overwatch of this supporting road, so yeah, good positioning, but surprised he's doing that so close to the Gvardia. He has now decided to back that Panther off. Potentially he thought that was too risky. The IL-2 coming into the northern sector will bomb the Panzergrenz with the Panzerfaust, but the limited payload on that IL-2 is only going to pin them down. The advancing Gvardia do come under fire from the IG-18 and do get pinned down themselves, and if Lossa can just penetrate this line, there's nothing behind it from Herr Robert, whereas Lossa at least has some defence in depth with the ZIS-2 guns. But yeah, fascinating game so far. Herr Robert still has the 1311, will win the game in 13 minutes. The PE2 strikes coming in, although the Gepards do fall one back before it gets the guns knocked off, and targeting the IG-18 and the Panzergrens. The first one did get its bombs off in time, and those PE2s again doing work for Lossa. The Gepards not enough to hold them at bay, and exceptional work from those PE2s. Really got to take another look at those units, because certainly they've done fantastic work in this game. The half-track there taken out, I believe, by the Tiger E, and Lossa bringing up another T-34-85, and he is now starting to suffer. There's a number of heavy tanks on the field, and although infantry-wise, I think Herr Robert is not quite able to compete right now, he is managing with his heavy tanks to kind of hold off the advances of Lossa. More units coming in, and now we get the Su-85 onto the field, as well as the mortar half-track, so quite a long time for Lossa to bring in that mortar half-track. He definitely favours his airstrikes, and so far I've got to say his airstrikes have hit the mark, so I can understand that. Here Robert does bring in an SD KFZ-71 into this central area, but I'm kind of surprised he hasn't bought one up north. I mean, he's continuing to rely on those 3 Gepards, but they just aren't getting the job done for him. And it could also do with a supply truck to fix up some of these vehicles, but he does bring in one with the artillery piece. We'll see whether he just uses that for the artillery piece alone, or he uses that to fix up some of the units. And yeah, I think Lossa's forces, they've kind of been picked off again and beaten down, and Herr Robert's stuck with this centre line, and he's had this northern flag for a long time, and he's just managed to hold that 13-11 for the majority of the game, and really he's just biding his time, I think, and holding a key defence, whereas Lossa on the attack continues to attack forward, and there's moments where you think he's breaking through, and then, you know, a couple of key units go down, and it's back to a kind of stalemate for him. It looks like he is again targeting the central town, but that IG-18 will probably the same outcome will probably occur because of that IG-18 being in that position. It's interesting that here Robert, I don't even know whether he's barely touched this southern side, but he's had the artillery piece firing on the city, but I honestly don't think he's moved these units from literally the start of the game, so all of his micro has been in this northern sector, and perhaps that's what's kept him in the game, really. Crew kill does come in on the Panther D, as well as transmission damage on the Tiger, and the T-34s again kind of massing together and pushing forward. So Lossa definitely, you know, not falling into the trap of moving tanks in one by one. He's definitely massing up about 2, 3, 4 tanks and then pushing them through, and that's really done him, you know, put him in good stead so far, but he just needs to continue forward. The game's not out of his reach, certainly. He is slowly losing the game, and, you know, he will lose in 9 minutes time, but he definitely is not out of this game yet, and he just needs to kind of turtle his way back into the game piece by piece, and he can come away with the victory here if he can do that. Sight damage on the Panther D, and a supply truck does come in and is being used by here Robert. The PE2s again coming in with the bombs, as well as the IL-2. I would have liked to have seen that IL-2 come in slightly earlier to take a lot of the flak damage, because that is, you know, that will take more flak damage than the PE2s, although the SDK-71 now coming in and does survive. Does just survive again. One of the T-34-85s I think went down, and the other one bailed out, and here Robert just managed to survive another attack. I think the thing I've noticed across these two games, the way that Herr Robert, you know, works with his units, is he doesn't just forget about the HE side of the game. So he has his heavy tanks, up front, tanking the damage. That's what they're there for. And then he utilises the IG-18s just behind to provide the HE shells, which often can suppress the tanks. If he comes up against any infantry, they're there to take them out, and also anti-tank guns as well. If Lossa pushes an anti-tank gun through, it might take first shot of the Tigerese, but these IG-18s are immediately there to reply. And look, they've just stressed out this T-34-85. I mean, interesting way that Herr uses his tanks in combination with the IGs, and as well with the battery Führer there. So yeah, interesting getting into the mind of a top 4 player here. Looks like Lossa is again kind of trying to push forward into this centre tile. Wow, look at this. After Machiki is somehow pushing through, and where did this come from? How did they get there? Who knows? How have they managed to get through? I think they must have pushed through in the half tracks by these Panzergrens and up to this road, and wow, look at Lossa making those plays, but unfortunately they've now been pinned down. And will they get taken out before they can recover? I mean, potentially they could get an 18 aid in on this Panzer IV-H here. So they do recover and they are pushing forward. So are they going to look for an 18 aid on this Panzer IV? Do get one in and does get the sight damage, but does not kill the tank, and I'm thinking potentially they might not get a second chance here. So the Panzer IV-H is reversing, but yeah, okay, second one comes in, does get the kill. Fantastic work. Wow, look at Lossa, he's taking over this central town now. He has committed a hell of a lot of forces there, and I think in combination with the M2A1s has sort of given him the push through there. So excellent play. The thing I love about Lossa is if he loses in one area, he immediately looks to make plays in the other area, and it's fantastic watching the movement of Lossa, how he moves from flank to flank, and really he really is keeping Herr on his toes, and looks like he's now advancing in potentially in the southern area as well. And Herr doesn't have a lot down here, so I mean, I know that Lossa doesn't have the forces quite yet to attack, but maybe he will bring them in and will give him a chance. So looks like the IG-18 is moving through the forest, and even this one after Machiki probably could take that out. I'm not sure, we'll have to have a look at that. But Herr reinforcing with the Pioneers, and certainly that one after Machiki definitely cannot take out a squad of Pioneers. So Herr looking to recover this central ground, but amazing plays by Lossa. It's just unfortunate that it's taken him until literally this point to gain any points from that play. So he made that amazing play, does take out the IG-18 with the after Machiki, and looking to skirt around this Pioneer unit, does get discovered. Unfortunately, I think that's the end of the after Machiki. As soon as this TNT, yeah, there we go. But look, he's lost the flag, and all of that push in the centre ground for nothing really, because the flag was so far away that even now he's still not quite captured the flag. So fire's now coming in from the Panther D in the north, and I just have a feeling these forces are going to get whittled down, and that entire push from Lossa is kind of all for nothing in a way. He is pushing forwards the half tracks. The Puma is having pot shots at them, does get stressed out by the IL-2, and looks like Lossa's trying to advance in this southern section, does get the 12-12 back, taking that flag, but I am worried that these units are going to get picked off one by one. The Puma just out of 18 nade range, does get crew killed by the ZIS-2 gun in the back and the ammo explosion. That is exactly what Lossa needed, pushing forward troops into this southern area. This is a fantastic play. Lovely plays by Lossa, and the entire game's been up in that northern section, and I think Lossa finally realising that he can make ground elsewhere and does push forward. The infantry unit there does get surrendered by the Panzergrens, and he is ignoring them. He does have to worry about this Puma, unloads one unit, and I have the feeling that these units, again, they might get picked off does just unload in time, and he has the T-34-85s rolling up, but this Puma's got free reign for the moment, and it'll be interesting how Lossa deals with the Puma and the half-track, because at the moment they are going to spoil the party here. He is pushing forward these T-34s, wow, into a very aggressive position, but they are going to discover the Puma and the half-track. Okay, so here we go. Does discover the half-track. That's going to let Herr Robert know what's coming. Also taking shots at the artillery in the back, and wow, unbelievable. This play is fantastic. The Gvardia, can they get into position to take out this Puma? Surely. The Panther D, sorry, is looking to kind of hold off this entire push by Lossa, and it all comes down to the Panther D versus the two T-34-85s. Luckily the Puma is coming in, the IL-2 coming in, crew kill down on one of the T-34-85s, incendiary on the Panther D. The aircraft coming in to take out the Puma, although no, targeting the artillery. So it looks like Herr Robert's going to win this one out. Shooter kill on the other T-34-85s, although, wow, one at the back as well coming in, does go down. It looks like finally the Gvardia are pushing forward, but Herr Robert notices. Oh my god, that was an important... Look at that. If Herr Robert hadn't pulled back that Puma, that certainly would have gone down, and that could have flipped the tide. That would have been left would have been the Panther D holding off this attack, and it looks like Herr Robert might have just held on by the skin of his... by his fingertips. The Gvardia do get pinned down and should get... They aren't getting surrendered, I think, because they're in their own territory here, but yeah, the do get taken out by the Flammenwerfers. The IL-2 coming in again. I think that was trying to target the Puma, but it did move back. I think it will take out the Flammenwerfers here. Oh, just missing. So unfortunately there, Herr Robert bringing in the SDKFZ to protect against these airstrikes, and I think he realises that he is relying on two key units here. The Puma that's somehow just managed to escape, only 5 HE shells left, and the Panther D, the T-34-85 looking to move in on the engagement, will get the first shot off. Does get the crew panic. Can it take out the Panther D? Oh, just reversing out of line of sight there. Will get the second chance. Does get the armour crack. Herr Robert responding with a Marder, but that's a key loss for Herr Robert, and Lossa can still make ground in this southern side. We've been on that southern era for a long time, but in this northern sector things have kind of remained pretty much the same. Units holding back. Herr Robert sort of holding back in this position, and Lossa really not making gains there. He is focusing on the south, and that is the correct call. He has brought it back to a 12-12 and does take out a unit in the half track there, so maintains the 12-12, and Lossa really hanging on, and this southern side is going to make or break the game for him, I think. Again, in comes the PE2, but is that a bit danger close onto the Panzergrenz? I believe that's where he's being targeted. Down come the bombs. Do take out the Panzergrenz, but pin down his own Gvardia, and with the advancing Flammenwerfers, he has to fall them back, so perhaps not the right unit to use there. Would have been better to use the IL-2, but I guess he was just using what he had available to him at the time. So the T-34-85 now has kind of got free reign, although, you know, the Puma's kind of waiting there, biding its time, and looks like Herr Robert recognising the threat, ordering in another Panther D. He's got to use this Marder wisely and push it into a position where he can kind of move forwards and backwards through these light forests and use the line of sight to his advantage. So, be interesting. Lossa now flanking right down the south. Look at the way he's using these units. He's going to bring them right through this forest and potentially outflank the entirety of Herr Robert's forces. Fantastic plays. The IL-2 coming in, and potentially I think he believes this... Wow, look at that! The Puma pushing forwards, taking out the T-3485. Let's switch to a replay. Look at the T-3485 right now. Pushing forwards, and that Puma just dashes forwards. Takes one shot, gets the fuel explosion, and then backs away. Beautiful play. Absolutely beautiful play there. So, now that tank's gone down, I mean, Lossa luckily reinforcing with another 2 and hoping to continue the push, but that was a key unit for Lossa, holding up the attack, giving chance for the Panther D to come in, and this is a very tight game at the moment. If Herr Robert can re-secure this area, he can certainly win the game quite quickly. He has a very large lead on the ticket front, so this is Lossa's last chance really. The IL-2 circling above, although somehow the SDK have said doesn't have the line of sight, and maybe Herr Robert will notice that and move that SDK offset. Lossa now noticing the IL-2 and withdrawing that, but his Guardias pushing forwards. They are now surrounded, being ahead of the front line, but they will be useful back there, and I wouldn't underestimate them at this point. He has now realised there is units in this forest that he needs to take out, and he is focusing back, trying to hunt down these Pioneers, so that engagement there, I think the Pioneers, depending on how Lossa engages, the Pioneers could definitely win this one. Let's make sure, have they got they have 2 frag grenades remaining, so yeah, certainly if Lossa brings these units in one at a time, the Pioneers could win out, but I think if he uses them both together at the same time, potentially they have a chance here. This will be an interesting engagement. It will also be important if Lossa can push forward this T-3485 and potentially support that attack. So let's stay on this southern side and watch this engagement. So the Pioneers discovered, and it is how I've said, 1 unit moving in, and I think, yeah, the Pioneer getting the HE grenade off, getting the surrender, and then the second unit will come in. The same thing will happen. So yeah, Lossa needed to use those units both at the same time, you know, attacking the Pioneer to avoid that situation happening, but unfortunate really. So the Pioneer still reloading, but as soon as this frag grenade reloads, they'll get it off. Here it comes, frag out, pinned down, and immediately surrendered. So Lossa losing his 2 advanced infantry units there. Herr Robert picks up the flag. That's a 14-10 now, picking up potentially a flag elsewhere. 13-11, sorry, and Lossa looks like he is going to lose this game. The game will end in 1 minute time, and Lossa needs to retake this flag if he's going to get back into it. The Sapari are moving forward, but I have a feeling they're not going to get there in time. Look at the number of units here Robert's got, and he kind of just needs to give these attack move forwards, and he will pick up some key ground there. But yeah, 30 seconds left on the clock. I cannot see the Sapari getting into position here. Robert kind of pre-bombarding to make sure that they can't move forwards, and I think this game is over now. Lossa, what a valiant effort. That southern push was fantastic to watch. I really enjoyed the game. Definitely concentrating in the northern area at the start, and then Lossa recognising that and switching flanks to the south, and that really put Herr Robert on the back foot. However, overall, Herr Robert wins out. 44 minutes, 7 seconds, and great game to watch. Look at the kill-death ratio. Wow, so again unexpected. The last game I would have put it down as Herr Robert, you know, having a much better kill-death ratio, but that was even. This game I would have put it down as quite even, but I guess for the majority of the game, right at the start, Herr Robert took up a commanding position in the north and then kind of defended that position throughout. So in Steel Division 2, the player who's defending will generally always have a better kill-death ratio. So that's kind of why Lossa lost out in this regard. He was continually on the attack, and it is much harder to keep your units safe in that situation. Look at this. We will stick with this for the moment, but look at this T-3485 here, taking out 3 Panther Ds and the Gepard. What a star that unit was. So let's have a look at the kills from Herr. The Puma, fantastic work. Look at the units it's taken out. This was the same in the first game as well, those M8s. Herr really knows how to use those light vehicles, and the thing is, he does it in a different playstyle to Gonzo, which is fantastic. They both use the same units, but they use them in very different ways. Herr keeping those Pumas and those M8s alive throughout the game and kind of pushing them forwards, getting a kill, moving them back, pushing them forwards, getting a kill, moving them back. Whereas Gonzo, it's like pure aggression. He pushes forwards and pushes and pushes, and if he loses a unit, he's got another one coming up behind. So really different ways of using the same units, but fantastic to watch. The Panther D in the centre takes out 2 T-3485s and a Zis-2 gun. It does well there. The other Panther D Führer again taking out 2 T-3485s, but I think when it comes down to it, if you take out 2 T-3485s, you have paid yourself off. But then on the other hand, although income wise there was no difference to the income, in terms of the unit availability, there are a lot more T-3485s than Panthers. So, those T-3485s, if they can just take out one of the Panther, and even if they lose 3 T-3485s, you'll still end up with probably more T-3485s than Panthers. So, there is that. The Tiger E, I think in that northern central area, taking out 2 T-3485s. Again, another Tiger E taking out 3 T-3485s, and that was kind of how Lossa lost the units, but I certainly wouldn't have played the game any different, and Lossa did play that game fantastically. So there is that. Let's have a look. These PE2s from Lossa, they did phenomenal work throughout the game, and Herr never really got a handle on them. I don't think he ever brought out a fighter, and those 3 Gepards in the northern side weren't enough to hold off. They do take out the Panzer IV Pioneer, 2 IG-18s, Pak 40, MG-42, IG-18, 3 Panzergrens and a Pak 40. Wow, those two PE2s combined took out a hell of a lot of forces. So, interesting plays there. Lossa definitely relied on those PE2s, almost kind of as similar to artillery in a way. So, really a good unit to see used, and I'm definitely going to have to go back to the deck builder and have a look at that PE2, because I was surprised he used them so effectively. Well, that's the end of this recording. This game did go on for quite a while, 44 minutes, but it was a fantastic game to watch. I hope you enjoyed watching it too, and I hope you enjoyed my cast of the game. Please drop in the comments anything you want to say. I will read these and respond and give you my thoughts. If you want to comment about the game, I'll let you know what I think. If you want to comment about the units, I'll let you know what I think. And definitely drop down those comments. I really enjoy reading your thoughts on the game. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Please like, comment and subscribe. More Steel Division content always coming on this channel. So if you enjoy it, please subscribe, and you'll get notified of all the upcoming content. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you next time.